afternoon. My name is Melanie Wheatley, and today I'll be speaking with you on the topic of parenting, and more specifically on discipline and the parent-child relationship. Many parents will agree that discipline is one of the hardest parts of parenting. And in a book on parenting by Dr. Glenn I. Latham that's titled The Power of Positive Parenting, an old saying is mentioned: kids who deserve love the least need it the most. This can be interpreted in a number of ways, one of which is that children who are exhibiting behavior problems are actually in need of love and affection. It can be agreed that parents have the responsibility to teach their children proper behavior. Discipline is a necessary part of this, but many parents struggle with the question, how do I discipline my child and still show love? The answer lies in the relationship that they are building with their child. Research shows that the method of discipline is not nearly as important or impactful to a child's well-being as the relationship between a parent and the child, because no matter the form of discipline, parents have a greater influence on a child's behavior when there is a close connection between them, between the parent and the child. And those relationships between parent and child carry over into adulthood, influencing future relationships. So basically today I will be explaining how, first, discipline is more effective when there is a strong parent-child relationship, and second, how a child's relationships with his or her parents directly influence the child's relationships as an adult, further proving the importance of the parent-child relationship. Before I do this, I'd like to point out that in my research, in no way was it implied that discipline is not necessary or that parents should be afraid to discipline their children. Dr. Latham clarifies that discipline is a tool to teach children that actions have consequences, and consequences should be appropriate and not overly harsh. So, why do parents have a greater influence on a child's behavior when there's a secure relationship between the parent and the child? Dr. Latham explains it like this: the effectiveness of discipline is directly related to the proximity of the parent to the child. So basically, when the bond between a parent and child is strong, then discipline is more effective. The stronger the bond, the more effective the discipline. This even applies with the use of corporal punishment. In 2009, Stephanie Hicks-Pass conducted a study of all the literature on corporal punishment in America. She found that quality parental interaction has a greater impact on children than the use of corporal punishment, so long as it is not overly harsh or frequent. Next, let's explore how the parent-child relationship impacts future relationships for the child. Please direct your attention to Figure 1, titled The Influence of Parent-Child Relationships on Future Relationships. The information on this chart was found in a study of parent-child interactions conducted by Lisa E. Crandall from the University College in London, Hiram E. Fitzgerald, and Ellen E. Whipple, who are both from Michigan State University. In the study, mothers were divided into categories of secure and insecure. Secure being mothers who had no issues with their parents stemming from childhood, and insecure were mothers who had unresolved issues with their parents stemming from childhood. The study found that a child who has secure relationships with her parents will more easily build good relationships with her own children, whereas a child with insecure relationships with her parents will have more difficulty building relationships with her own children. This clearly shows that parent-child relationships will directly influence adult relationships for the child. Another study was conducted in 2003 that examined the effect of parent-child relationships on intimate adult relationships. The findings were that both men and women, had healthier, more satisfying sex lives and were more comfortable with intimacy when there was a close, warm relationship with the parents. To summarize, the evidence is undeniable. Parent-child relationships are the key to raising healthy, happy children because parents have a greater impact on their child's behavior when there's a strong connection between the child and the parent. And the child's future relationships will also be influenced by the parent-child relationship. Many parents struggle with discipline, and understandably so. It is a very personal matter, and yet also a necessary part of child rearing. It can be very confusing. But research shows that the parent-child relationship is more important to the child's well-being than the form of discipline. Parents can be confident they are doing all that is possible to help raise their children to be responsible adults, ready to face the future by working on their relationship and building a mutual trust, love, and respect for one another. Are there any questions?
How can I know if I'm building a good relationship with my child?
Well, Dr. Latham explains this very well in his book. He has many suggestions, and some of which are: accept children for who they are and show them unconditional love. Secure and strengthen the bond of love and trust between you by communicating and showing verbal and physical affection. Keep lines of communication open by showing a true interest in your child and his or her activities. And last, build mutual respect with your child. Children learn by example, so by showing them respect, they will learn to respect you and others. Any other questions?
How can I effectively discipline my children if I am only focused on my relationship with them?
That's an excellent question. The answer is by finding a balance that works for both you and your child. Try re-examining your parenting style to see if you have found that balance by asking yourself these questions. Do I have my child's best interest in mind while disciplining? Do I act out of anger or love? Is my current choice of discipline effective, meaning does it result in more appropriate behavior and less inappropriate behavior? Do I have more positive or negative interactions with my child? And last, am I building a strong, healthy relationship with my child? I'd like to thank you for your time, and please everyone have a good evening.